name is Morgan, and I'm the treasurer for this wonderful organization called Paws. I'll be discussing with you how we'll be managing money and how it is that we're going to be able to produce any profit that can be donated to the wonderful organizations of the animal shelters of Alaska. So initially, I'd like to establish what our central purpose is, and it's to produce and sell and then distribute dog booties, and then to redistribute those proceeds from that sale to Alaskan animal shelters. Everything else that we do is all supplementary in order to achieve this central goal. The material costs, it's based on Amazon prices. So for one set of dog booties, it's to a total of 75 cents. Our organization is going to charge $15 for a set of booties, and this does appear to be a bit of a steep cost, but we have two reasons why we think that this will be an okay and efficient cost. Is that A, the motivations of the buyer isn't just going to be to buy themselves a pair of booties. They're going to feel good about the fact that they're donating to a good cause, and so that's going to make them feel comfortable with this $15 cost. And this same $15 is the standard cost that Amazon charges for several of their kinds of dog booties. Like other nonprofits, we will be also accepting donations, but we anticipate that the majority of our money is going to come from these sales. And this is because what we understand from people when they're donating is that they don't know how much to donate on their own. And so giving them a suggested donation amount is beneficial to increasing the amount that they're willing to spend. So they're not likely going to be able to come up with a number on their own, maybe feel comfortable. But with this $15, they can make a quick decision and move on. And they're more likely to make a decision to buy when they do that. So as I established, it's going to cost us 75 cents per pair. And that means we're going to have a net of $14.25. But we're not going to be able to donate that much per boot because there's other costs to running an organization like this, such as advertisement, and in order to ensure that our company is solvent for 3 months ahead, we're going to retain some money in order to cushion ourselves against bad times. Without advertisements, the number of booties we are going to be able to sell would be greatly limited. We want to sell about 1,000 booties a month. And so if we were to reach this 1,000 booties a month, we'd be netting about $14,250 every month. And in a recent survey of nonprofits, we read that most nonprofits devote between 4% and 10% of their profits to advertisement. And we're going to stick with the 4%, which means that every month we're going to spend about $570 on advertising, and that'll consist of TV and radio advertisements. I anticipate that we will be able to utilize other organizations such as the homemakers and senior centers in order to assemble these booties and to package them up and send them out when they're requested. And the reason I think that we'll be able to have this kind of relationship is that I have a family member who is both a president of a senior center and a president of a homemakers organization and a weight loss organization. And she said all three of those have performed very similar activities for other organizations. An example of this is the homemakers. Currently they're called the Family, Community, and Education, but they used to be called the homemakers. So it's a beautiful organization, and the president of the Alaska chapter has expressed interest in sharing their labor with us. And in order to get her to agree, I needed to have some numbers, and I estimated that it will take about 15 minutes to assemble one of these booties. And that means that in order to make 1,000 booties per month, we're going to have a total of 250 man-hours of effort per month. That seems like a lot, but if we have a lot of volunteers, it'll only take about 12 and a half hours if we had 20 volunteers. And I anticipate having many more volunteers. After we've had a couple months of producing these booties, it's going to be very easy to fund the advertisement and material costs. We'll just use the proceeds from last month before we donate our extras to the animal shelters. But this first month and the first 3 months are actually going to be a little bit complicated. We're going to need additional startup costs, and I anticipate that in order to get our product ready for our January distribution, we're going to need $1,320 at least for materials and advertisements for this first shipment. And I anticipate that we'll be able to win awards from organizations such as Petco, who are generous enough to offer startup cost scholarships or awards, and we'll be applying for those shortly. If we're not able to do this, I'm willing to be an investor and work on the startup course. No interest needed. So after we've gotten this all started, it's very important that those people that are donating to us and are purchasing our items can trust that what we're doing is honorable in what we're saying, and that they can check in and make sure that we're allocating resources that we say we are, and we're not pocketing any. So that means that we need to maintain transparency. And it'll be necessary for us to keep accurate records of every receipt that we have and to record all transactions. And so I believe that it is necessary to have an electronic record of all of these items. Instead of sorting through all of these items individually and finding out what our net cost is, if we ever have to ask that question, I intend to have monthly records. And so when we have our monthly board meetings, I intend to have ready, because I'm the treasurer, a completed form. And if you're interested in looking this, it'll be in the supplementary materials that our chairperson has supplied. And if you have any questions, I'm open to discussing them with you.